In quilt making, you're going to use a lot of different tools. This is a shot of my toolbox. My toolbox is going to have all the tools that I need for most of the things that I'm working on. Everything from masking tape, craft sheets, scissors, marking tools, irons, all the things that I need when I'm working on a quilt. But these products are what I would call your survival kit. These products are what you're going to need to be doing the rotary cutting that we'll be talking about. There are rotary cutters, and in rotary cutters, there's going to be 4 different sizes available on the market. The 18 millimeter being the smallest of all of them. This is very nice when you're wanting to cut single layers of fabric, if you're doing applique or art quilting. The 25 millimeter is about the size of a quarter. I love this rotary cutter when I'm doing paper piecing. It is just the right size. It's not too big to get in the way, and it's small enough and sharp enough to cut through what I need to cut through when I'm doing paper piecing. The 45 millimeter is going to be the most commonly used rotary cutter in quilt making. It was the first size to come out, and it is still the most popular today. The 60 millimeter is what we call the pizza cutter. This is going to be my favorite rotary cutter when I'm doing quilt making because I can cut through multiple layers without any problem. They're going to come in a couple of different styles. The ergonomic and more of the classic style. This is one of the new designs that they've come out with. Can be used with right and left hands. But what makes this one unique is how easy it is to change the blade. You can just pop it and the blade comes right off. You put your new blade on, set your cap down and slide it over, and you're ready to start cutting again. The other rotary cutters are not going to be quite so easy to change your blade. When you're changing your rotary cutter, you need to be very methodical and keep all of your items stacked up in the order that they came off. Otherwise, you'll put them in backwards and it'll never work the same again. So I like to start, this is the nut, and the nut you'll see there's a smooth top and then there's a dimpled bottom. When I take it off the rotary cutter, the smooth top is on top, so I'm going to set it down with the smooth top on top. Next is the washer. The washer is going to have a curved look to it, so you want to keep the curve facing up. Then pick up the rotary cutter, and that will leave your blade down there. You can take the blade off. There's a lot of different ways to do it. After you've changed the blade, put the cutter back on. Put the washer back on with the curved side up, and then the nut goes down, dimple side down. And then carefully screw that back on. When you screw it back on, don't screw it on back too tightly. If you screw it back on too tightly, the blade will have a hard time rotating when you're doing the cutting. If your blade is very tight, when you're cutting, you are going to exhaust yourself with the pressure it takes to make that blade spin. So I would recommend that you loosen the blade so that when you lock it in the open position, you can get it to roll easily with just a couple of fingers on the cutter. Underneath the cutters is your mat. I prefer the green mats. There's a couple of different brands of green mat. I like the material that the green mats are made out of. I found some of the other materials are too hard and some are too soft. The material used in the green mats is the material I like best. This is an 18 by 24. I think this is probably the most common size mat you'll use. You can get them much larger and you can get them much smaller. And every size has a different purpose, but this is the size you're going to use the most. On this particular mat, all of your measurements are marked in inches. I don't like to use the mat with the lines. I like to use the mat with no marks on the back. We'll do the measuring with our rulers. There are thousands of different rulers on the market. When you're looking at your rulers, think about it as you do the tools in your kitchen. When you're in your kitchen, probably you could make all the things that you make with a fry pan, a fork, and an open fire, but you don't. You have all those other tools in your kitchen to make the process easier and more enjoyable. And that's how I think about all the different rulers on the market. A ruler like this can be used to easily cut setting square triangles on your quilt. A ruler like this is nice and small. It's going to fit in your toolbox so that you can take it with you anywhere you go. These two rulers are going to be my preferred rulers, and I think the two rulers that every quilter should have when working on a quilt. The 12.5-inch square. There are rulers on the market that go all the way down to 1.5-inch squares. The largest that I know of on the market is a 21.5-inch square. Those are really, really useful, but the 12.5-inch is going to be the most common square in quilt making, so this would be the ruler you should start with. The 6.5 by 24 is going to be a long rectangular ruler, and this is going to be the ruler that you're going to use probably more often than any other in quilt making.